Hello, my name's Dunfield. I'm the pastor of the St. Andrew's Baptist Church here in St. Andrews, and we're glad you're with us today. A number of years ago, a man by the name of Jack was going out to see some friends through the American Rockies. As he drove along, he took a wrong turn up in the mountains. And he ended up going up a long road, and he felt like he was going up higher and higher into the Rockies. And suddenly he saw a little side road, and he thought, well, maybe that's the road I should go down. And by now he's completely lost. But for some crazy reason, he turns down the side road. And if any of you here in New Brunswick know what a graded road is, but sometimes in the old days, graded roads were just roads with lots of rocks in them, and he punctured a tire. He gets out his cell phone and he says, okay, I'll find out where I am, and there's absolutely no reception whatsoever. And by now it's starting to come on dark. And he's way up in the middle of nowhere in the Rockies, a long ways from home. It's coming on dark. He's by himself and he doesn't know where he is. So he walks up, and there's a bend in the road, and he sees off in the distance, not that far, he sees a light. And he goes, wow, there's somebody up there. There's somebody, there's civilization. I can go get help. So he starts walking up towards the house. And as he starts walking up towards the house, his mind starts going through a whole scenario. I wonder who these people are. Why are these people up here in the mountains? Why are they up here all by themselves? Who lives up here? What kind of a character would be there? Maybe I shouldn't go to the house, but I can't stay out here. And he starts to panic. And as he starts to panic, he starts putting scenarios through his mind. He starts going, maybe these are people hiding out from the law. Maybe they're criminals. Maybe they're murderers. And he begins to panic in his mind and in his heart. He says, who else is going to live out here in the woods except somebody that is really bad, and somebody that and all these things are going through his mind as he walks down the little driveway to their home. And as he walks into the driveway, there's a bunch of junk laying around. There's an old beat-up car. There's old lawn mowers. There's an old bicycle. And he's beginning to go, man, this is a scary place. And he's got himself so worked up, but he's so frightened, but he needs help. And by now he's thinking, these people are going to take me and take me as a prisoner or kill me or do something to me. He's probably watched too many watching Misery too many times over. That he picks up a piece of wood that's lying next to the house in a wood pile, stove wood. He puts it in his hand, he walks up and he knocks on the door. He hears scurrying on the inside of the house. And when the man opens the door, Jack hits him with this piece of wood as hard as he can hit him. He knocks him back, he knocks him down, and he's ready to pounce on him with this piece of wood and start beating this guy, when he hears screams, and he looks up, and there's an old woman. And he looks down, and it's an old man. And luckily, they had their adult son there, and he comes running out to try to intervene, and they stop Jack from attacking the man anymore. Jack had gone literally berserk with fear from all the stuff that he was running over and over in his head, playing a scenario of what might be. Well, luckily, the old couple, and they were an older couple, must have been more frightened of Jack than he was of them. Can you imagine living up in the woods in the middle of nowheres, and at night someone bangs on your door and attacks you with a piece of wood? But being good people, they helped Jack out, got him out of trouble, and got him on his way. There's a great text in the Bible, and it's taken from the book of Proverbs, and it reads this way: all the days of the oppressed are wretched, but the cheerful heart has a continual feast. The cheerful heart has a continual feast. You and I, we take scenarios and situations in our lives and we play them over and over and over again. We have what some psychologists say, we have conversations in our heads. And what we do is we take situations that aren't that serious and we end up making them into gigantic situations and problems. I've got a friend that, I don't know if you could call him a hypochondriac or not, but whenever he gets anything wrong with him, he starts this whole scenario of what could be wrong with him. And by the end of the time, even if you're sitting with that person for an hour, by the end they're convinced they have some kind of rare disease or they have a cancer growing on them or something's going on, and they've just played this through their mind and through their head, and they talk to themselves. And we start building up a case, again, for what we want a situation to be. We play it in our head all day long. And the next thing we know, we've lost our joy. We've lost that continual feast of joy, and we've replaced it by an innate fear, anxiety, stress, depression. We've just taken the beauty of what might be a good situation, and through just going over it and over it, we've turned it into a bad situation. Paul Tournier, who was a brilliant thinker and a Christian leader, used to live in Switzerland. And because of his ability to work with people and do all kinds of amazing ministry, psychologists, doctors, ministers, people from all over the world used to come to sit at his feet and listen to what this brilliant man had to say. They were trying to pick up ideas for what they were doing. And Paul Tournier said, they always left disappointed. He said, everybody who came left disappointed. And here's the actual quote from one of his books. He says, it was embarrassing for students to come from all over the world to study my techniques. They always went away disappointed because all I do in life is accept people. I thought that was an amazing statement. This guy, who the world thought was one of the greatest teachers and having the deepest insight into people, said, all I do is I care about people. I accept people. I want to say something just here really quickly. Caring about people is not the same as accepting what people do. There's a whole lot of difference between that. You don't have to condone someone's behavior to still give them respect and show them dignity. People who have done things to us can oftentimes be people that, I don't know how else to say it, but are a pain in the neck. And we don't want to always condone their behavior towards us or towards others, but we can see that they have a dignity before God. That God cares about them and God loves them. And the Bible says that we should care about them as well. We should show them dignity. We should show them respect. We should care about them. You know, there aren't as many cheerful hearts around Charlotte County as there used to be. We go into the grocery store, we go into stores, and we're confronted by the new normal. We're confronted by arrows, by masks, by directions, by social distancing, by encouragement to stay home. And this begins to play on people. A recent report out of San Francisco says that the number of suicides in the San Francisco area is at an all-time high. Australia reports that they are going to have more people suffer from depression, loneliness, frustration, fear, anxiety, playing these things over in their head, over and over, talking to their heads until they get so full of fear that there's going to be more problem trying to help these people find a normal again than actually died from coronavirus. When we really stop to think about it, you know, this little proverb, all the days of the oppressed are wretched. And I meet people every day, and so do you, that are now wretched. They're unhappy. They walk around you. They won't talk to you. We don't hug each other anymore. We hardly will talk to each other anymore. We can't gather together anymore like we used to. And I understand the reason for much of that, and it's a very good reason, but socially, it's driving us apart. And the normal human, we're not made for that. We're not made to be separate, to be locked in our homes, or to be told that we have to keep distance. We're social beings. We're made to have relationships with each other. We're made to be close. We're made to express love and compassion to each other. And this is not, the new normal is really abnormal. It's not how it should be. And a lot of the reason that we're having some of the problems that we're seeing is because people are letting the voices that they talk to in their head begin to dictate, just like the man in my early illustration. As he walked towards the old house, he began to play through in his head, oh, what's going to happen? This guy is bad. Bad things are going to happen. I'm probably going to be attacked here. I've got to defend myself. And this goes through the minds of people. We talk to people every day I talked to a person just recently who is so frightened that they can hardly get out of their home. And they've allowed this voice to continue to talk and to talk through them. Paul Tournier said, what we need to do is just like each other, care about each other. So, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm none of those things. And I don't have the answers. I'm a minister, I'm trained as a pastor. But I know from over 30 years of ministry that I've seen a lot of people who suffer a great deal. And they suffer from loneliness, depression, anxiety. They pray for taking many of these things and putting them over and over again in their minds. Yes, we've got to get a handle on the virus. We've got to deal with it. But we also have to get a handle on our social responsibility to each other and our social responsibility to ourselves. God says to us back in Psalm, he says, a cheerful heart has a continual feast. So I want to leave you with just this word. I know things are hard, and I know we're all getting really tired of the lockdown. And I know there's a lot of people that aren't following what we're told to do now. But we can still meet it with a cheerful heart. We can still try to be kind to each other. You know, there's no need to explode at somebody in a line in the superstore because they're going the wrong way on an arrow. It could just be an accident. It could be they just didn't notice. We've got to try to show a little more compassion. We've got to get that back in Charlotte County, that compassion that we have for each other. So, I just ask you this evening, just to try to be a little kinder, just to be a little more compassionate. When someone does something these days that irks you, don't just put it all through your mind and talk to yourself and think they have alternative motives. Sometimes it's just an accident. They didn't mean to act that way or to say what they said or go the wrong way in an aisle. So, have a cheerful heart. Go through this with a cheerful heart, and I'll guarantee you one thing. You'll come out of this a better person. You'll come out of this and you'll move on. But if you allow your heart every day to talk to yourself and you continue to look at the negativities and all the fear and what might be and what it might do in the future and second waves and all that kind of stuff, you're going to end up in a lot worse place. Have a cheerful heart. That's a banquet. My name's Lad Dunfield, and I'm the pastor of the St. Andrews Baptist Church here in St. Andrews. You can get in touch with me at Ladd, L-A-D-D, at The Beggar Danced. That's all one word. That's a blog at thebeggardanced.com, and I'd be glad to answer any of your questions, or if you have any thoughts on this talk this evening. I want to thank CHCO for making this time available to the faith community, and we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.